The long climb. How appreciation builds positive momentum. The park opened with the soft whir of motors and the smell of warm asphalt, popcorn, and anticipation. Before the gates even fully swung wide, the roller coasters were already moving, empty cars climbing, dipping, rehearsing their endless loops as if life itself needed no audience to keep going. Eli stood just inside the entrance, ticket folded tight in his palm, watching the tallest coaster in the park. It rose so high it seemed to scrape the clouds, then dropped straight down in a way that made his stomach tighten, just looking at it. His first thought was simple and heavy. Why would anyone choose that? He had come to the park because someone told him it might help him lighten up. That someone didn't know how tightly Eli held on to worry, how he measured every step before taking it, how he scanned for what could go wrong before noticing what was already going right. The line for the biggest coaster stretched across the midway like a living thing. People laughed. Some screamed in advance. Others bounced on their heels, eyes bright. Eli stepped into the line, not because he wanted to, but because something in him was tired of standing still. The first climb came sooner than expected. The car locked, the bar pressed against his legs, and the chain began its slow pull upward. Click, click, click. Each sound felt like a question. Are you sure? Are you really sure? At the top, the park spread out below him. From up there, the chaos looked orderly, almost beautiful. Instead of bracing for the drop, Eli surprised himself by noticing the breeze on his face, the sunlight catching the rails, the simple fact that he was still breathing. For a brief moment, he thought, this is actually kind of amazing. The drop came anyway. His stomach lifted, his thoughts scattered, and then just as quickly it leveled out. The car kept moving, the track held firm, and something inside him loosened. By the time the ride ended, his hands were shaking, but not entirely from fear. There was something else mixed in now, something lighter. As he stepped off, an older ride attendant caught his eye. She had the calm smile of someone who had watched thousands of people panic and survive it. You noticed it, didn't you? She said casually. Noticed what? Eli asked. That moment up top, she replied. When you stop fighting the climb and just take in the view. Eli didn't answer right away, because she was right, and that bothered him a little. He wandered deeper into the park, riding smaller coasters, gentler ones, noticing how each ride had its own rhythm. Some were fast and sharp, others slow and winding. None of them stopped just because someone was nervous. At a quiet bench near the back of the park, he sat and watched people come off a family ride. Kids pointed and laughed. Parents smiled, relieved and proud. No one complained that the ride hadn't been perfect. They were too busy appreciating that it had been fun at all. Something clicked for Eli then. He realized he'd been treating his life like a ride he didn't trust, gripping the bar, waiting for it to fail him. But the rides didn't need his fear to function. They needed momentum. Back in line for the tallest coaster, Eli made a quiet experiment. Instead of scanning for danger, he looked for what he could appreciate. The sound of laughter behind him. the steady reliability of the machinery. The simple fact that he had chosen to be here. As the car climbed again, the clicks felt different. Not warnings this time, but markers of progress. Each click meant movement, and movement meant momentum. At the top, instead of fear, he felt gratitude. Not because the drop was gone, it wasn't, but because the ride had brought him this far already. The drop came, and this time he laughed. Not because it was easy, but because it was working. When the car rolled back into the station, Eli didn't rush off. He sat for a second longer, letting the feeling settle. Gratitude wasn't loud or dramatic. It was steady, like the track beneath the wheels. As the sun dipped lower and the lights of the park flickered on, Eli realized something important. The rides didn't change based on how afraid he was, but his experience of them did. Walking toward the exit, he glanced back one last time. The coasters were still climbing, still dropping, still moving forward without hesitation. And for the first time in a long while, Eli felt thankful not for the absence of fear, but for the momentum that appreciation had quietly built beneath him all along.